Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope y'all have had a great Friday and hope y'all have had a good work week. As we're getting into the weekend, there is a lot to discuss, and there's a lot to discuss mainly about one thing, which is Hurricane Sam. This is Sam right here. This is a water vapor loop on Tropical Tidbits, which is a great free site. A guy named Levi created this, and I tell you what, this is the best free site there is out here. So I know you guys watch my videos, but he also makes videos, and he is the king of talking about the tropics. So definitely subscribe to him on YouTube, support him, definitely. But right here, we have Hurricane Sam. Sam looks excellent. It's definitely a moderately intensifying hurricane right now. Has an excellent outflow going on here. It's not really being bothered by any shear. Any dry air. It's kind of created its own environment due to this expansive outflow it's created. And it just has the look of a strengthening hurricane. It's going to probably undergo some rapid intensification here over the next 12 to 24 hours and be on its way to becoming a major hurricane by tomorrow afternoon. There's been some interesting changes in the models today. Not really changes, but it's kind of solidified some things that we were possibly thinking last night. And that is the potential for development of a cutoff low over the mid-Atlantic, Northeast, or just somewhere over the eastern U.S. This has the possibility of pulling the storm a little bit closer to the eastern U.S., and that is what we're going to talk about here. So if you guys hear me cough a little bit in this video or just sound a little different, I'm fighting the crud or the cold right now. I did get tested for COVID. I am vaccinated. I came back negative, so thank the good Lord for that. So if y'all hear me sound a little bit different, if I cough a little, my video, I have to take a little water break. Do apologize, but I'm trying to bring you this video regardless of how I feel. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button. Like the video if you like it. I try to make videos every single day. I'm also a storm chaser, so I try to get out in it also. And I just try to keep y'all updated. And you guys give me a way to talk about what I love, which is the weather. So I'm incredibly blessed, and thank y'all for making this happen for me. So let's get going here. So as you can tell, this is Hurricane Sam. Sam is right now, I believe, an 85-mile-per-hour storm. We'll get the latest update here in a second. But like I said, expansive outflow. It's got a little bit of an eye trying to form here. And it's probably, I would think it's probably a Category 2 hurricane at this point, even if it does say 85 mile per hour. It'll definitely be a Category 2, maybe a major hurricane by the time some people wake up tomorrow morning, depending on which time zone you live in. But it's out here spinning like a top, and it's looking pretty good. And it just has that look of a moderately intensifying hurricane. Look at the latest. This is the 5 p.m. update, so I don't have the 8 p.m. update quite yet. That is probably going to update here by the time some of you watch this. But right now, it's an 85-mile-per-hour storm, expected to be a major hurricane as early as tomorrow afternoon. So it is undergoing some rapid intensification and probably will uptick a little bit overnight. And it's going to maintain major hurricane status, predicted by the National Hurricane Center all the way through midweek before the cone of uncertainty stops. Now, this storm is going to be moving very slow in its current place and just in the next several days. And that's because there's extremely light steering currents right now. And I'll talk about why a little bit in this video also. But right now, the model intensity guidance has this almost, the majority of the models making it to a Category 3 or higher. So we're really thinking this is going to become a major hurricane. And I'm not here just to talk about the models and show you the GFS and the Euro and say, all right, hey, we'll see y'all later. That's what we got. I want to dig a little bit deeper into the steering currents and why it's strengthening, why it's going to strengthen so fast. So stick with me here. So y'all can kind of figure out what's going on. I know a lot of people just want to say, hey, is there going to be a hurricane that hits my house? Well, it's good to know as much knowledge on why these systems do what they do is possible, because it helps people understand a little bit more what's going on. So so here we go. We got the GFS moving forward here. And as we're getting into tomorrow afternoon, the GFS, right now, I would say the National Hurricane Center is leaning a little bit between the GFS and the Euro. So it's kind of just in the middle. And that's a good balance, in my opinion. And it's a good balance when you're looking at the grand scheme of things. I would say that the GFS has been better than the Euro over the last 2 years, the tropics. Seems like ever since it's upgraded, it's done very well in hurricane season. But here we go. This is the latest GFS. Has it strengthening, and just look how slow it's going. It's going very, very slow as we're moving forward here. And each tick here, each movement is only 6-hour intervals. So it's barely budging. So it only goes from about here to here between now and next Wednesday. It's going to pick up some speed eventually. And there's just this weird thing right here. And I don't know what this is. This is the latest GFS. But either way, there's going to be some kind of cutoff low right here. This is going to try to pick this up and slingshot it here. But at the same time, you have a steering current at 500 millibars trying to steer this storm out to sea. But then you have a blocking high here. So what happens? Does this thing try to get up in Nova Scotia? Does it try to get up to Newfoundland? Does it try to hit Maine? Does it just go out to sea? Man, there's so much to figure out. You look at the latest Euro, and the latest Euro kind of had people freaking a little bit today. And you're going forward here, and sorry guys, my internet's moving a little bit slower tonight than it normally is. But the latest Euro has this strengthening, moving through here in time, and we're getting into about midweek, and we have a major hurricane just north of the Leeward Islands, Lesser Antilles, and it gets very close. The thing about the Euro is it's initializing a little differently, which is causing a little bit weaker. So it's initializing the storm a little bit weaker, which is making it take the more westerly path. I've always said the last few days that the weaker the storm, the more west-northwest it's going to go. The stronger the storm earlier on, probably the more it's going to turn quicker because it feels those steering currents a little bit more. But if you live like in Bermuda, in the northern Leeward Islands, you guys need to watch out, especially Bermuda. This is going to come very close to you. But by this time next week, basically next weekend, we're still talking about the storm. It's off the coast it's off the East Coast. What it does here is a big question mark. It's a cutoff low tries to form here, and I'll tell you what that means here in a second. But instead of moving north and then northeast, it just starts moving north and almost tries to plow into Maine and areas of Canada and Nova Scotia. Now, what that means here, and let's briefly talk about this. Why is this storm rapidly intensifying? Well, one, it's moving so slow, and it's just sitting over pretty warm water. It has a nice outflow, an anticyclonic flow, meaning it's shielded from any shear, any dry air. It's creating its own environment. So moving forward, there's no shear bothering it. This is 200 millibar streamlines, and you see this flow moving around it. That's creating an anticyclonic flow. So it's basically helping to ventilate the storm. It's breathing the storm. And you see this here. I know it's going to be harder to see, and this is one of the reasons why I tell you guys I'm going to get my setup a lot better for you guys. But you see this moist environment around this L. Well, that helps to create its own moist environment for Sam. So when it creates its own moist environment, its own environment, if you will, then dry air and shear doesn't affect its circulation. And that's the case. This is such a compact hurricane. It's a very strong hurricane, but a very small hurricane. So it's not some gigantic hurricane like Hurricane Sandy, for example. Very compact hurricane. So it creates its nice environment due to that impressive outflow and not being affected by any shear. Now, when we're talking about the steering currents here, and when you're talking about the steering currents here, this is height. So basically what this does is there are different methods to look at this. This is 500 millibar heights. So this basically does a good job of showing us where the subtropical ridge here is here. There's a little bit of ridging on top of the storm right here, but you notice this isn't no stout ridge. There's a little bit of a nudge of the subtropical ridge right here too. So this is why it's moving so slow. It's kind of trapped in the influence of a little bit of ridging, but it's not trapped in a lot. So it's just kind of chilling and barely moving west. It's not, there's no steering currents. It's really picking the storm up. And this is kind of nudging it a little bit and helping to steer this. Now you would think that with this ridge right here that it would try to steer this a little bit west, but it doesn't. So eventually this weakens altogether and it gets influenced by this ridge of high pressure moving like this. So this is helping to push this storm this way. So this is moving up. And then what happens here, and this is just the GFS, there's a cutoff low here. I mean, it's very distinct. You can see it clear as day. It's basically just a pinch off a trough that digs right here and sometimes gets cut off completely from the mainstream. What happens here is their steering current's moving this way around this trough. Sometimes it can pick this up and intercept it and sling it back towards the coast. But in this case, it doesn't. It wraps around this ridge of high pressure and moves out to sea. Now, you look at something, and it's just a different vantage point to look at. You look at the European, and the European, see this ridge of high pressure right out here, this red area. This is that cutoff low. Look at it, it's positioned a lot differently, and it kind of shifts to the west. And then what is Hurricane Sam? There's a big time ridge of high pressure right up here over southeast Canada. At the same time, you have this cutoff low, and the cutoff low tries to catch Sam, and the winds around this cutoff low is in this direction, right? So it's pulling Sam a little bit more north and almost tries to pull it northwest. Therefore, pulls it into almost Maine. Would be an incredible, something incredible, almost kind of Sandy-like, but, yesterday I was mentioning it could be almost like Hugo-like, but Hugo had a cutoff low down here in the Gulf of Mexico, a blocking high right up in this area. So it's a little bit different, but you can see it pretty good here in the 500 millibar vortices. It does a good job of showing the wind bars here and which way it's going. Wind bars are going this way, so that means the winds are coming from this way. So it's pulling the storm west, and then it starts going west northwest and then northwest, and starts ticking around this ridge of high pressure. And then you notice these winds right here are going like this around this cutoff low. So it tries to get picked up from basically, sorry guys, I'm getting a little mumbled up because I'm running out of breath here. But basically the wind direction around this cutoff low, it tries to get picked up with that. But luckily with the latest GFS, it takes the route of going around the ridge of high pressure instead of getting slingshotted into the northeast. So some interesting scenarios ahead. Sorry, it's not my most professional video, guys. I'm running out of breath. A little bit of this cold is just absolutely kicking my butt. So hopefully I'll be a little bit more refreshed in the morning, and I'll give you all an update. But Sam is going to be a major hurricane. We need to watch it because not everything has been worked out. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a great night.